Watson said in her He for She campaign, no country in the world can yet say they have achieved gender equality. On September 20th, 2014, Emma Watson delivered a speech to grab everyone's attention with the issues surrounding gender equality. It was also launched to her campaign, He for She, through the United Nations. She explains the issues surrounding gender equality, but she also addresses the need for specifically males' attentions. When and where? This speech was given on September 20th, 2014. 6 months before, Emma Watson was appointed United Nations Women Goodwill Ambassador. This gave her the opportunity to give this speech and launch her campaign. It was also presented at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The United Nations is an international organization whose purposes revolve around global peace and security, maintaining human rights, and many more. As many of you know, Emma Watson was an actress. She grew up in Britain and was involved in Harry Potter as Hermione Granger and Beauty and the Beast. Her acting career started around the age 10, which is where she started to notice the issues with gender inequality. She also has a degree in English literature. In 2014, just a couple months before she gave the speech, she graduated from Brown University with a degree in English literature. This gave her the knowledge behind her speech to be able to give it. And like I said before, she is a United Nations Goodwill Ambassador. This gave her the opportunity to launch her campaign, which is what this speech is about. Significance then versus now. Back then, women were being targeted. They were being harassed, sexualized, and many more. In Nigeria, 270 girls were kidnapped by Islamic groups and were sexually and physically abused. At this time, abortion laws were starting to be changed and or created. Still today, we have abortion laws being changed and created, which is why it's significant now. And it also impacts because many people misinterpret what the word feminism really means. Lots of women just think they are feminists because they want women to be superior, but the feminism is the belief that men and women should have equal rights, not just women.
Today, we are launching a campaign called He for She. I am reaching out to you because we need your help. We want to end gender inequality, and to do this, we need everyone involved. This is the first campaign of its kind at the UN. We want to try and galvanise as many men and boys as possible to be advocates for change. And we don't just want to talk about it. We want to try and make sure that it's tangible.
So as you can see here, she brings in the audience by using pathos. That's a great example by saying, we need your help, or we need this, we need that. She brings in the audience, which I will talk in more in the pathos section. She also used many rhetorical devices. Anaphoria is the first one. I think it is right that I should be able to make decisions about my own body. I think it is right that women be involved on my behalf in the policies and decision-making of my country. I think it is right that socially I am afforded the same respect as men. She emphasizes, I think it is right to show that women don't have as much respect and as much rights as men do. She also uses expletive, which is just to get an understanding behind what she was stating earlier. And if you still hate the word, it is not the word that is important, but the idea and ambition behind it. Obviously, she doesn't want you to hate the word feminism, but she wants, if you were to hate the word, she wants you to hate the idea and ambition behind it, not just the word. And she also uses allusion. At the beginning of her speech, she says, in 1995, Hillary Clinton made a famous speech in Beijing about women's rights. This alludes to the main circumstances of her speech. By adding in a speech what she was going to talk about, gives the illusion of what she will talk about further on in her speech. She also uses ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is creating credibility with the audience. Emma Watson does a great job with this. She already is credible because she is a UN Women Ambassador. She has a degree in English literature, But she also talks about growing up around gender inequality. At age 14, she was sexualized by the press for being on Harry Potter. And then at age 17, her friends were starting to quit sports because they're too manly. She also uses pathos, which is the clip that I showed you. Now, pathos is the emotional appeal to make the audience feel the same way you do. By doing this, she drew in the audience by saying, "We need your help. We want this policy to change." She also draws the audience to the struggles with gender inequality. She talks about how the main cause of death for men between the ages of 20 and 49 in the UK is suicide, and how mental health problems really affect the world. And lastly, she uses logos, which is giving the audience logical appeal or reason. She uses many statistics and about the rates and stuff about the gender issue. One of them is 15.5 million girls will be married within the next 16 years. Current rates show that African girls will not receive education until 2086. That's a big statistic. This speech will endure because Emma Watson is a great example to youth girls and to youth people in general. She grew up with her youth, and we've watched her grow up on Harry Potter. She also has traveled with this speech across the United Nations to speak for this He for She campaign. And lastly, many countries are still fighting for gender equality, and they want this speech, and they want this speech to endure. Thank you for listening to my speech.